Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning into our video series on our XenMobile on-premises to Citrix Endpoint Management migration service. My name is Justin Mader, Principal Product Manager. Today, we are going to talk about how to migrate to Citrix Endpoint Management Service and discuss the high-level overview on how this migration service works and what is expected. There are three main topics that I want to discuss before moving forward. Seamless and quick migration. With the help of a dedicated migration engineer, we can get your migration completed in as little as 24 hours once all the necessary prereqs are configured. Little to no admin effort. With Citrix doing most of the heavy lifting, there is little you, the customer, have to do. And best of all, no end-user re-enrollment is required. You do not need to re-enroll your users to move to the cloud and take advantage of the cloud-only features we have to offer. Although we offer a no re-enrollment migration service, there are two paths that we allow our customers to choose. The first one is transition. Some of the advantages of transition are to start off with a new environment. Let's say you have the environment running for multiple years and you've had multiple admins come through. There may be stale devices, stale policies, stale applications in the environment that you want to get rid of. It also lets you transition to the cloud without time constraints, where you can re-enroll devices in certain chunks based upon a device refresh or a specific maintenance that you have in your environment. And last but not least, one of the other advantages is to review the business requirements. One of the examples that I can think of is regarding your Android DA, device admin, to Android Enterprise migration. Now that Google has mandated Android Enterprise, you can use this time to re-enroll into a brand new environment with a brand new set of Android Enterprise policies from scratch. Another business requirement could be re-enrolling your devices into our new mobile workspace experience and going from secure hub mode over to our mobile workspace experience within our workspace application. Again, some of the challenges with a transition, of course, are requiring re-enrollment for your end users. And of course, reconfiguration of the applications and policies you had previous. And you also have to maintain two sites, your on-premise site that you're transitioning from, as well as your new cloud site. And then of course we have our no re-enrollment migration service. Again, that's the biggest advantage, no re-enrollment for the end users. We're taking a snapshot of the current on-premise configuration and moving that over to cloud. We also allow a test drive with a set of sub-devices, which I'm going to explain in a little bit in the next slide. And of course, seamless migration, which is all controlled by a DNS, which I'll also cover in the next slide as well. Some of the challenges would be that the SSL listener certificate will reside in our cloud database. So we do not recommend using a wildcard certificate for this migration. We do recommend using a single cert SSL listener. Again, the DNS is still managed by you, the customer. And that's because the enrollment URL is going to stay the same. So since the enrollment URL is hosted by your DNS and your domain, the DNS will still be required to be managed by you. And of course, in-depth knowledge of your current environment is needed. What I mean by that is if you do not know the PKI certificate or the database passwords that were created during the initial provisioning of your on-premise environment, you will have to go the transition route, as you will not be able to use the migration service. Now let's discuss our on-premises to cloud migration workflow. The first phase of this workflow is the assessment. We have an assessment guide that we follow with each migration to ensure the migration is as smooth as possible. For environment details, we look at the current XenMobile version, which we currently support N-2 for the migration service. At the time of this recording, 10.14 is out, so we will migrate any environment that is running 10.12 or greater. We also look at the Secure Hub version, the SQL versions that's running, the MDM and MAM policies, and we document what use cases and features are currently being used to ensure that once the migration has been completed, that everything is still working successfully. And then we go into the connectivity phase of our workflow. And this involves standing up a brand new Citrix Cloud tenant going through and installing the Citrix Cloud connectors with you, as well as reconfiguring your current Citrix Gateway configuration to point to the new cloud site. And then last but not least is around our validation. So test drive. Since the device connectivity is controlled by creating a CNAME to redirect your enrollment URL to our cloud-hosted load balancers, we can create a cloud-hosted DNS record to redirect a set of test devices during this phase. And this ensures that the migration data has been successfully moved over without having to impact any type of production devices that are there. Once the test drive proves successfully, these test devices connect in and everything is working properly, the production phase would be making your DNS switchover, which is you, the customer, creating a CNAME record to point your current enrollment URL to the cloud-hosted IP addresses. The migration flow looks something like this. You start off with both control traffic and data traffic going to on-premise. So control traffic is your MDM enrollment traffic, device check-in, and policy push. Your data traffic is your MAM traffic, such as productivity apps like Secure Mail and Secure Web, and other internal micro VPN traffic. So like I mentioned in the previous slide, what we start off with is the Citrix Cloud control plane as well as the cloud connectors. The next step is to provision an endpoint management service on the Citrix Cloud platform. As you can see here, everything is in multiple zones and everything is running in a highly redundant platform. So what we do is we take your XenMobile servers in the database and move it over to your endpoint management service. Now the endpoint management service talks through Citrix Cloud to the cloud connector as well as through your Active Directory for authentication. And as you can see here, the data traffic that you have, as I mentioned before, is your productivity applications, your mail traffic, your micro VPN traffic. That still goes from the devices to your on-premise Citrix gateway. That never transverses the cloud. Your control traffic is only what goes through the Citrix Cloud platform now. And again, that is your initial MDM enrollment, your device check-in, as well as your policy and application push. But once that occurs, all your application data all continues to go through your on-premise Citrix gateway. Now, just to wrap it up, here are a few helpful resources that you can read offline. The migration FAQ. We also have a migration webinar available on YouTube that goes over what I spoke about today, but a lot more in detail. We've got a migration data sheet, as well as migration docs on everything we spoke about today. So thank you very much for tuning into our video series, and please take a look at our other videos in the series to get more details on our migration service and what Citrix Endpoint Management in the cloud has to offer for you. Thank you again.